Happy February 2016. Happy Black History Month. Happy President's Day. Happy Groundhog Day. This is the month that we launch Sexy and Wealthy in Heels in both New York City and Washington, D.C. I am the international brand ambassador for both D.C. and New York City. Also, you might be seeing me in Philadelphia as well. So, as I explained in the last tape, we're kind of shifting gears. We're still going to talk about plus size modeling and becoming a plus size beauty queen, but we're also going to extend to the concept of just simple women's empowerment and women's entrepreneurship, because that's what Sexy and Wealthy in Heels is about. So, this month I've been asked to speak at a sorority. It made me start to reflect on a couple of experiences that I've had with sororities, or simply why I was never really interested in pledging a sorority. So it's interesting to have the woman who never pledged a sorority come speak to sorority girls. So when I was at the George Washington University in DC, freshman year, I remember a very excited group of girls coming to my freshman dorm in somewhat of a formation outside the door. And I opened the door and I saw them and I thought this was some kind of joke. I remember like slowly closing the door back and then they started knocking again and they did this chant and they were all wearing the same outfit and their hair was the same and they're like, no, 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 we're trying to recruit you for the sorority. And I thought to myself, I think I would be a good person for the sorority because I'm too much of an individual. And they were very disappointed. But I think I ended up shutting the door and going back and doing my studies. The second story that I have about a sorority experience was in my freshman year or sophomore year. I went to I took classes that were my major courses for communications and broadcasting. And one of the assignments that we had was to find people in your discipline, find someone who was a broadcaster or a journalist, and interview them. And I had selected Sabrina Dames was the first person to contact me, and she was a reporter or broadcaster or anchor for BET, Black Entertainment Television. So I was so excited to go to Black Entertainment Television because it had all the videos we watched when we were kids and it had all these cool shows and it was such a staple when I was growing up. We had the Request Black Entertainment Television. In any case. So they were taking me for a tour. One of the things I thought was really interesting was I had done internships at NBC. So the first thing that struck me was that the equipment wasn't the same type of equipment that I was used to seeing at NBC. They had robotic cameras at NBC, and in BET they actually had men behind the cameras moving them. So I noticed that a lot of the equipment was not as updated as the equipment that they had at NBC. So I go into the control room, and I was so excited because there was actually, I think, women at the control room, kind of directing at the time. It was a women's show. And I walked in, and the girls started to give me a little bit of an attitude. And I didn't quite understand. So when one of the sessions, they were in the middle of one of their directing sessions, the girl looks at me and she's like, "You're not one of those, are you?" And I'm thinking, One of what? And she looks, she says, you have a pink and turquoise pen. It has my name on it. And they said, looked at the other girl, and the other girl looked at the other girl, and they said they did some chant and screeched and snapped their fingers and said, 'cause we deltas up in here. And I'm thinking, what's a delta? So they proceeded to interrogate me about this pen and proceeded to ask me these questions. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm not an AKA. You just can't accuse me of being an AKA. But I was like, what's wrong with being an AKA? I'm looking for all this sisterly camaraderie because I'm at Black Entertainment Television. There's no camaraderie. So I really started thinking, like, we're always dividing ourselves as women. What's the purpose of that? Great to have healthy competition, but to divide yourself based on interests or looks or something like that didn't really seem to make much sense to me. So, what I would say for the new wave of womanhood is that we're not trying to compete. We're not trying to compare. We're trying to come together and collaborate to find solutions, to find improvements in each other's lives. Because it's been an interesting 10 years in the world. It's going to be interesting another 10 years in the world. And you're not going to accomplish much by dividing yourselves. You also need to respect people's differences. If a person is into sports, then respect the fact that they're an athlete. If they are into beauty and fashion, then respect the fact that they're into beauty and fashion. It's not hurting you, one way or the other. So this month, women's empowerment, sexy and wealthy in heels. The way that we are going to come together and collaborate with the world is to conquer our fear of differences.